damage machine and the rock steady rub.
Oh, Gino.
On a night when flowers didn't suit my shoes, after a week of flunking back in school, looking low and staring in the crowd that night. I just
What is up, everybody? How are you doing? How are you doing? Happy Friday. Happy Friday afternoon. Draft night number 2 begins. It is the 2025 NFL Draft clearly underway. And this guy right here on the screen, Will Campbell, becomes the highest selected offensive lineman in LSU history. Going to the Patriots at number 4. This is beautiful. This is beautiful for this young man. He's been going through a lot. Lost his cousin Tarver to a tragic fire accident. That was right before his final season at LSU. And then, as you know, lost a teammate, a friend in Kyron Lacey just a few weeks ago. And you saw him wearing the pin in support of Kyron Lacey and his family. It was beautiful. Let's try and find that. Let's try and find that footage of Will Campbell. I swear we retweeted that or something. It was incredible. It was beautiful to see him really saying, like, you know what, this moment, in this moment, with all this attention, all this upon me, his head could be anywhere. And instead, he's thinking about that family and what they've gone through. Just incredible from Will Campbell. Just incredible from this young man. It just you could. The Tom Brady era is over in New England. Okay, Drake May's the quarterback. Bill Belichick's not there. I mean, it is a whole new era. I understand that, but like, if you're going to go for a rebuild, there is no one better to start that rebuild with than a dude like a Will Campbell. Brian Kelly did the same thing at LSU in 2022. There he is. There's Will, Big Will with Robert Kraft to his right. Man, Robert Kraft's getting up there in age. He used to just be Kraft really up there alone, and now you got him and another guy up there. I mean, it's another front office person. Where is that footage of him talking about Kyron Lacey? One second. So we saw Will Campbell drafted early, number 4 overall, and that was fantastic. Some people were saying he was going to drop. A lot of people were saying that. And I remember we put up a defiant article where we were just like, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen to Will. We're talking about the length of his arms. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Like, yeah, if he had the tiniest arms, like dinosaur arms, okay. He clearly doesn't. Does he have the longest arms in NFL history for a tackle? No. Has it hindered him in his work with either a dual threat quarterback or protecting a pure pocket passer? He's done both in his LSU career. That's another thing too. So 4 sacks overall in just under 1,600 snaps in the SEC at LSU, playing against top competition, elite competition, week in, week out. Will Campbell, just I don't know how you couldn't be more impressed with the young man and what he represents and what he's all about, because he really this year, when the offensive line was at its worst for LSU and things were looking down and out and stuff like that for LSU, because the offensive line, Mubenga was in there, people like that. Mubenga, DJ Chester had come in at center. in a ton of criticism. And Will Campbell didn't give them that criticism and followed up. He was like, he gave them absolute love, and so they're doing everything they can. They're busting their ass out there. And sure enough, the next few games, Mubanga, Chester, they improved. They got better. But that's where Will Campbell said the very famous line of, all a D lineman needs to do is get 1 sack per game, and they're going to get drafted in the first or second round of the NFL draft and become a millionaire. But if you're an offensive lineman and you allow a sack a game, you're going to be working at Amazon. I mean, Will Campbell, he is the perfect locker room leader, the perfect, great wall of Will Campbell China on the left, just stuffing everything that comes Drake May's way, and really going to help, I think, New England kind of fortify a new era for the franchise. This is Will right after he gets drafted.
You are Mr. Louisiana, but you just got a love letter from the New England Patriots. You haven't stopped smiling since you heard your name. What's behind that smile?
Man, just all the hard work.
This is crazy right here. Will gets emotional.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Been through a lot. Man. That suit is absolutely incredible.
I've worked my entire life to be up here, to be able to get my name called by a franchise like New England. It means everything to me.
We can feel that. We absolutely can feel that, Will. You are brought to New England to protect Drake May. What kind of tone are you going to set on this offensive line?
I'm going to fight and die to protect them with everything I got.
To set on this offensive line.
I'm going to fight and die to protect them with everything I got.
Did you just hear that? I'm going to fight and die to protect him with everything I got. I'm going to fight and die. He sounds like literally maybe what an outsider, maybe what a national media person would think of as like a typical Louisiana football hero. I'm going to fight and die to protect him. Like totally Louisiana vibes, right? And it's very stereotypical, but like that is who Will is. That's not a show. That's not an act. That's how Will talks. That's how he's been since I started covering him in high school. When it was like, oh, this dude's going to be a 5-star freak. LSU are just all after him. There's no way LSU are going to miss this kid unless we really drop the ball here. He was committed under Coach O, stayed committed under Brian Kelly. So, I mean, he's been this way from the first snaps at LSU to the end. And it's really, you always knew he'd leave after 3 years. You did, because he's just too good. But, just wished and hoped that him and Emory would stay 4 years. And so it's like, you look at some of his numbers, his career numbers, starting all 38 career games. The only game he missed was he had a seizure or some type of medical emergency like that 2 days before the Tennessee game. Held out of that game. Comes back in less than a week against Florida, at Florida, as a freshman, and dominates the living hell out of Florida. 0 sacks allowed, just 1 pressure allowed, and 71 total snaps against the Gators as a freshman. And we kick the Gators' ass, get the win on the road. Like, this kid is made of tougher stuff, maybe than you or I, definitely more. He's definitely tougher than me. I'll just speak for myself. The kid's definitely tougher than what I made up. It seems like this dude could have his leg broken and would still be like out there like blocking the crap out of people. But here's the thing that's so awesome about Will Campbell is he makes you want to get tougher. He makes you want to be, more, have that resolve, that dedication, that intensity, that work ethic, because you see the type of rewards this guy gets for how dedicated he is. And you just think that, man, this is so deserved. This is just so deserved for Will Campbell and his family. You know, this is a family thing when these guys get drafted. It's not just, like this is just their day. And there's times I even say that, like, oh, it's this person's day. It's this person. And it's like, actually, no, it's the family's day, really. The family are doing how many sacrifices, making how many sacrifices, going, traveling this place to that place, all the plane trips, the nonstop travel almost throughout the season, or just to come see your ass, if they're from a different state. It's unbelievable, the amount of travel, but then the amount of just complete exhaustion a lot of the families go through just traveling nonstop, taking their son to practices, taking their son to camps. There's a story of where Will Campbell got his ass kicked in a camp. He's 14. His family cancel the trip. The trip that they're doing. They're literally in Colorado. The camp's in Louisiana. They get a camp invite while they're in that, trip to Colorado. So they're, whoa, crap, cancel the trip. Let's go all the way back. Will's football career is first. They go all the way back. He gets his ass kicked. He's in tears even. How can you imagine that with Will Campbell? He's in tears. Not like that, like on the podium, but he's had his soul ripped out almost, like what is going on? We've never seen Will Campbell like this. And he says, he vows to himself to never feel like that again. I will never feel like that again on a football field. I will never let someone make me feel like this, let this, this game grind me into a husk. I will own this game. I will run this game. I will be dictating the emotions here. And guess what? Since that time, Will Campbell has. He has really made sure, like, listen, we're not going to fall into that trap ever again. And it's incredible to see him get what he deserved, really, for this lifetime of dedication for the game of football. And yeah, it would be so cool for, us to get in a time machine and it's 10 years ago or whatever. And Will Campbell can block for Tom Brady at the Patriots, but it's a different era. He's going to be blocking for Drake May. We're going to see if New England can be a winning franchise without Brady and Belichick. But if they're going to be, it's going to be because of Will Campbell really leading the charge. Because if Drake May is successful, you just know Will Campbell's going to have something to do with it. And if New England are successful offensively next season, he's gonna be a major part of that. All I hope for is just health, happiness, and for Patriots to be a winning franchise for him to take part of. I really feel like it is. We're going to look back on Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Mason Taylor, Brian Thomas Jr., this era of LSU football, this last little bit. Harold Perkins, you've got one more last shot with him, but we're gonna look back on this little era of guys who've left this team already. Mason Smith, even we could talk about Mason Smith. Mekhi Wingo was an All-American for LSU. These guys left LSU without a national championship. In fact, these guys left LSU without coming really anywhere close to a national championship. And it really had nothing to do with their failures. When you're talking about Jaden Daniels, we're talking about Malik Neighbors, Will Campbell, Emory Jones. Will Campbell, at his worst, was flagged like an average offensive lineman this season. He gave up some more flags than ever before, for him, at a crazy rate for his standards. He gave up 3 sacks, which was a crazy rate for his standards, because he'd only given up 1 his entire career before that. So my point is, I think we can I think we can look at Will Campbell's career and say, oh my God, if we had been able to really take that 2023 offense to that next level, get to a postseason with the weapons that we had, my God, guys, we could have, we really, you look around at who won the national championship in 2023 with it being Michigan, and they took advantage of a really flawed Alabama side. Took advantage of these really flawed teams. It was just once again, I think it's going to be a weak kind of landscape in college football. I mean, you had Indiana in the playoff this last year, guys. I mean, there was some really crazy, like, what is going on with college football? Some weakness in the SEC. Basically, just conferences cannibalizing each other. Right when you'd think, oh, Ole Miss is a real deal, top 10 team, they'd get beat at home by Kentucky. You know, like right when you thought Georgia was the real deal, they're getting absolutely destroyed. So I'm just, there is an opportunity for LSU to really make this happen, but it's real, you know, this next season under Brian Kelly. But it is really sad to me to see guys like Will Campbell, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Jaden Daniels, of course, Garrett Dellinger, you know, Charles Turner, Josh Williams, Makai Wingo, all these guys, Mason Smith, you know, they left LSU without winning a national championship. And that's kind of sad to me. That's actually really sad to me because I think we're going to look back and be like, wow, a guy like Will Campbell, a guy like Emory Jones, and then dudes like Garrett Dellinger and Miles Frazier as your guards. Charles Turner as your center for 2 years. I mean, we had an incredible offensive line with just, I mean, we're going to look back and be like, holy crap, how did we not win a championship with these guys? Especially what Will Campbell is going to accomplish going forward here. You can also tell Will is a little emotional because of the whole. There's just a lot going on for him with the death of Tarver, death of Kyron Lacey at team. I mean, that was pure emotion you just saw from Will Campbell, and I love it. Here it is.
Kyron is a special human being. I feel for his family. They've been.
Hey, let's rewind this.
Yeah, I mean, you see right there, I got the number 2 pin on my lapel. Kyron is a special human being. I feel for his family. They've been through a lot lately, and you know, he's got such a great family. He was not only a good football player, he was such a good teammate, a good son, a good older brother, and just a good dude in general. And it's just terrible, everything that's happened. I'm sending many prayers to his family because, you know, he was going to get his name called this weekend. That's why I wanted to wear this pin, honor him, even though, you know, his name won't be called. He's going to walk across that stage. So he's here with us in spirit. And it was just an honor for me to be a part of his journey. Yeah, I mean, you see right there, I got the number 2 pin on my lapel.
It's just beautiful, man. Like, that's another thing that was really impressive about these group of players this last few years, the Mason Taylors, Jaden Daniels, Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Kai Wingo, the list goes on of all these guys who are now been drafted going to the NFL, Brian Thomas Jr. They really had a camaraderie together. And you see this new group have the camaraderie, right? This new group have the camaraderie, have the vibe. There's almost maybe even more togetherness with this group because they know what is at stake and what the stakes are so high this season for everybody. You know, from Garrett Nussmeier with a lot to prove or wanting to prove. I think even if Garrett Nussmeier had pretty much the same year as he did last year, I think he would still be probably a first-round pick, such as his quarterbacking talent. But he wants a national championship at LSU. And he's going to do everything in his power to do that. Same thing, you go with Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly is not going to be drafted in the NFL. Brian Kelly is not going to be getting an NFL head coaching job. Brian Kelly absolutely must win a national championship this year or come close. I'm just going to say it. Like, if LSU disappoint this season, they do not make the college football playoff, and they play like absolute garbage, and the offense is underwhelming for another year when you have the same quarterbacks coach for 4 years, same offensive coordinators for 2, same receivers coach for 4 years. He's now been the co-offensive coordinator for 2, going into his second. The same running backs coach for 4 years. Same offensive line coach for 4 years. And actually he's been at LSU for 5 now, which is crazy. I never thought we'd have Brad Davis this long. You really are like, we have the staff that like should be a juggernaut offense every single season. Should. That's not like, hey, we're an LSU fan. By divine right, we should just be great. I'm not trying to say that. That's stupid. You look at the talents that leave LSU year in, year out. You look at literally the players that go into the NFL from LSU. How is this team not making, a 12-team playoff every season at least? But then before that, how come we weren't in more than we made like one New Year's Six bowl. One New Year's Six bowl outside of the national championships that we won and the one that we lost, the title game that we lost with Les Miles. Coach O and then Nick Saban all winning a title apiece. Les Miles got to a second title game, which we got shut out in and lost. Okay? So point is, this is a program bringing in the talents that we do, seeing the guys that leave this program, leave the purple and gold every single season to go into the NFL draft, get highly drafted, become NFL All-Pros, Super Bowl champions, and then you go back and you look at their LSU resume and it feels incomplete. Or it feels like, damn, they were amazing. They put up the numbers. How were they only 8-4 that year? How were they only 9-3? How did the 2024 Tigers, with Garrett Nussmeier at quarterback, literally loaded with all this talent, left, right, and center, but just not playing well together, just not doing anything right, the offensive coordination, the offensive play calling, everything was just dysfunctional. You go to the defense, it was completely injury-riddled defense. We only started picking up the steam in the second half of the season, starting with that Arkansas game. But really, that was a team that, how would you lose to a 4-5 Florida team? How do you do that? You beat 4-5 Florida. If you beat 4-5 Florida, LSU are in the 12-team playoff. Do you understand that? Like, that's insane. The bar was so low last year for us to succeed. The bar was so low for us in 2023, actually. The landscape around LSU and the SEC and college football, I don't know how we could not get the defense to figure it out in some capacity, to just give Daniels a couple extra possessions to win games. Made no sense. How that defense in 2023 could not create turnovers, create sacks, create pressure, shut them down in the red zone, hold them to field goals, something. Be good at just something, one facet of defensive play, and we would have won a national championship, absolutely nuking that Michigan team. And you know it. We would have absolutely blown that team off the field. I don't care how good that Michigan team's defense was. They would not have stopped Jaden Daniels and that offense. Too much speed. Okay? That's just my opinion on the whole thing. But, so, you see Will Campbell going 4th overall. the rest of the NFL draft, that begins tonight. And where is Mason Taylor going to go? There was some big whispers that, man, Mason Taylor, he's going to be a first-round pick. Todd McShay was predicting him to be a first-round pick. All this stuff was being said. All this stuff was going on. There's rumors in the air, rumors swirling that he would be that first-round pick, that kind of late first-round pick surprise like Clyde Edwards-Helaire was in the 2020 draft. So it was kind of one of those moments where it was like, ooh. So let's see what the mock draft from Mel Kiper predicts for tonight. He predicts the Browns are going to pick Shedeur Sanders. Luther Burden to Tennessee, man. So Tennessee would have just gotten Cam Ward and Luther Burden in the same draft. That's actually really that's dynamic. With that defense, that running game, Derrick Henry, that is dynamic. Do the Titans still have Derrick Henry? I swear they got to. Sorry, I'm too dialed in with college football that I just sometimes the NFL, these little details slip past me. Let's see. Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan. Got to close some of these tabs. Slowing me. All this stuff that I've got open is slowing me down. Travion Henderson, 39 to the Bears. I'm actually shocked that he dropped that far. Dude's so good. I get it. He's probably injury prone. They're thinking because of how short and slight he is, which, seems to happen with these Ohio State running backs. Tyler Show, or however you pronounce that, to the Saints. You know what? I think I think that would be a great pick for the Saints. I know everyone's pissed after they picked that offensive lineman that LSU were pursuing pretty big time. Oh my God, Kevin Banks. I know you guys are pissed off about that. Still a great piece to add to the team. San Francisco is where Mason Taylor is projected to go. It should, Kiper says it should not be ignored that tight end George Kittle is not attending offseason workouts. Kittle has been brilliant, but he's entering his age 32 season, and the 49ers have enough salary cap worries that give his age 32 season, and the 49ers have enough salary cap worries that giving him a long-term deal might not be in the cards. This seems like it was written by AI or something, Mel. Like, what is this? Age 32 season? Like, that's kind of a giveaway right there. Age 32, are you, like, putting these little things in an algorithm and it spits out words for you? I've seen some of this stuff done. Can't you just write faster than that? Like, I feel like you can make a few mistakes. That's the thing. You don't want to go back and edit these things. I feel like when you go back and edit these things, they get better. But usually they're just trying to shit out content, so they just quickly. Says Taylor is a middle-of-the-field magician and a polished all-around tight end. You know what? You could also add red zone magician, too. And I think that's really a shame that he only leaves LSU with, what was it, 9 touchdowns, 9 career touchdowns? Let me see. We had we did a piece on him for his Mason Taylor for his brilliance. He was number 6 on our top 10 Tigers of 2024. He only had 2 touchdowns this last year. Of course, he had a career high in receiving yards, 546, and he made so many big plays, but I just feel like, man, let's see. He of course became the all-time leader in the program for receptions and yards, but he was second in touchdowns to Richard Dixon. Richard Dixon still holds that record. Don't I have his stats here? What is I think it was like 6 or like 9, something like that. 9 total touchdowns, 6 total, one of those. And it was like, it just left me feeling like that's just not enough. How do we not feed him? 3, 4, 5, 6. He only had 6 touchdowns at LSU. So 2 this last year, only one touchdown in 2023 with that high-flying offense. All the rest of them went to Thomas, who had the most, and then Malik was second with that. And then Kyron Lacey, rest in peace, he had 7 touchdowns that year too. I mean, Lacey got his that year. People kind of forget about that. 2022, he had 3, of course, and then he had that 2-point conversion. So San Francisco, man, that's a place where they have a need for him. They've got that big need for him. That's interesting. Former LSU Tiger Jack Besh, who went to TCU, spent a year kind of getting his body right after some really nasty injuries at LSU, and he turned his complete career around back to his LSU greatness. LSU greatness as a freshman, and Jack Besh went off his senior year at TCU, which I was able to witness live in person in the game against Utah, where he was against the best defense I think TCU probably played all year, and he was just incredible in that game, making big plays in that game. Only a few catches, but he dragged defenders all over the place and freed up space for the running game, freed up space for other guys. Whoa. Yeah. Is that the song you love, Seiji? They're actually predicting Jack Besh goes in the 3rd round to Las Vegas. Ring, ring, ring.
No. I'm dying.
That's the thing to me, guys. You the rest of your hot dog, buddy. I'm just thinking, where are these offensive linemen going to get drafted? Miles Frazier, Garrett Dellinger. Where are these guys going to go in this draft? That's something that really interests me. Emory Jones. I thought he was going to get picked late in the 1st round randomly by Washington. I thought for a second there, they might pick Emory Jones, which would shock a lot of people. He was predicted to be a late 1st round pick at the beginning of last season, and then his stock proceeded to drop throughout the year, which really, in my opinion, I think it was a little harsh, the stock dropping for Emory Jones. And I think that may have been an effort by LSU to make sure that he would stay for another year. I wouldn't put it past Brian Kelly. But Emory Jones, where is he going to go? That's something I'm really interested in. Garrett Dellinger, who's going to pick him up? That's something I'm really interested in. But 1 second, we need to do this ad read because we need to let you all know, if you go to kettle.shop/lawn, or we'll put it up there, you can have a chance to win the watch that Will Campbell wore last night at the NFL draft. That beautiful, sexy watch. Rolex. An absolute stunning Rolex. To win that, go to @kettle.shop/lawn to enter. Let me fix this. I don't know why there's a period after the name there. There we go. After the slash. No slash in it. Just go to that, kettle.shop/lawn to enter to win that watch. The entries are accepted clear until May 8th, I believe. Yeah, May 8th. And Will's gonna have that watch for life. It's gonna be the watch that he wore when he was drafted. And I believe, I'm not sure about this 100%, but I wouldn't doubt it. Wouldn't put it past him if there's some type of engraving tribute to his fallen cousin Tarver, because that's also the name of his foundation, the Tarver Braddock Foundation, which is Will Campbell's charity organization. He's going to be pouring a lot of money and time and a lot of different projects into for the rest of his career. And it's going to be in his cousin's name. I mean, you could basically just call Tarver his other brother. He does have a younger brother as well, I believe, Thomas Jr., but Tarver's basically like another brother for him. So it's all in tribute for Tarver Braddock for the next 20 years, 30 years of his career. That's going to be his kind of, you're going to hear that name associated with Will Campbell for the rest of his career. So get used to that. And I'm very excited to be a part of this with Kettle Shop. What they're doing with these watches, man, they've helped out Cooper DeJean. And you saw what he just did for the Eagles, the Super Bowl. And now oh my God, his last name is I'm losing his last name, but that tight end, Tyler Warren, who was selected in the first round last night as well, he also had a custom Rolex from Kettle as well, from Penn State. That's where Tyler Warren just barely came to my head. He was like, oh yeah, he was a Penn State kid. So this is something that's beautiful to be part of. Kettle people seem to really, I mean, here's the thing about Will Campbell, guys. You got to be the real deal for him to want to do business with you. He's very straight and to the point, and like, let's, are you the real deal or not? And yeah, enter at the Kettle Shop, kettle.shop/lawn until May 8th to try and win a piece of history with Will Campbell's watch. But also, it's not just the watch. Even if you don't win the watch, because only one person will win the watch. Only one will win the watch. And, more entries increases your chances to succeed, of course, in winning that watch. But what is very cool, very special, and it's why you love Will Campbell. He signed all this other LSU memorabilia to be a part of it, so that you really have the full. I mean, look, signed footballs, jerseys, helmets. I mean, I know a lot of LSU fans who have incredible collections, incredible memorabilia collections. You've got it from this era, from that era. You got a huge tuft of grass from the field, from Death Valley's field during the earthquake game. Whatever it is, like LSU Tigers fans, we care about it. We get it, and we want to remember this stuff, commemorate this stuff. Okay, and so Will Campbell, like I've said, this is going to be an era when we look back and go, how in the hell, why did we not win a national championship with this group? A Will Campbell, a Jaden Daniels, an Emory Jones, a Malik Neighbors, a Brian Thomas Jr. List goes on and on. How did we not win a national championship with these guys? And so Will Campbell, 4th overall pick, 3 first round. God, sorry, everybody. I'm getting so tongue-tied here. 3 first-round picks last year for LSU. Okay. Jaden Daniels, 2nd overall. Brian Thomas Jr. Malik Neighbors went number 6. Brian Thomas Jr., I think, number 20? Number 19 overall, something like that. And now you add Will Campbell, another top 5 pick. That's insane. That is insane. LSU, you've had Stingley, you've had Devin White, you've had Joe Burrow, you've had Jamar Chase. Will Campbell now adds his name to that list of recent top 5 picks to come out of LSU. And I mean, Malik Neighbors, I know he was 6th overall, but let's just include him in the list because he really deserves to be. He's really a and LaRon Landry too. I would say that for him. I think he was 6th overall, right? Washington picking him. For me, he's a top 5 pick still. Like, just come on. I know it's 6, but come on. We can bend reality because they deserve it. But technically, yes, they're not top 5 picks, but they should be, for Christ's sake. So, it's going to be interesting what we see tonight from the rest of the draft. Where Mason Taylor goes will be interesting. It seems like San Francisco is going to be that place because the need is there more than a lot of other teams. The pull, the desire, the franchise around what Kyle Shanahan has, the offense they have, Mason Taylor would be a huge piece of the offense for the next 10, 12, 13 years, as long as he can physically play. Mason Taylor could be that next George Kittle for them, but actually way more effective than George Kittle as a receiver. Like, look at George Kittle. Great player. Fantastic tight end. But you know what? Here's what is really my bone to pick with him. As good as George Kittle was, or maybe is this season, maybe he'll have another bounce back season, but George Kittle did not show up in big games for San Francisco. In multiple Super Bowls, playoff games, big-time games in the NFC against divisional opponents, whoever. George Kittle was a great regular season and like first or second round guy. But when you got into the NFC Championship game, when you got into the Super Bowls, George Kittle did next to nothing. Completely anonymous. Trying to literally hide and actually getting accusations of trying to hide in the game, basically, by teammates, by others. And Mason Taylor, one thing you cannot say about Mason Taylor is that he's going to be hiding in the game. That's for sure. Mason, I think he's going to go out there and be fantastic for them because he's going to be a big game guy. He's going to get the football in big situations if Kyle Shanahan's smart. And he's a damn good blocker for their offensive line, their run-first identity. Perfect for San Francisco. Perfect for San Francisco. But it'll be really interesting to see where former LSU Tiger Jack Besh goes. And it'll be really interesting to see where the offensive linemen go. Is Slade Roy going to get picked? Will Josh Williams get picked? There's a lot of things I want to know about this NFL draft. I mean, the first night wasn't even that interesting to me. After Will Campbell was picked, I basically tuned out. Because I knew what was going to come. So that's that. In other news, and I really want to make sure that we get the biggest possible audience we can for this before we shared this news, because I want to make sure people hear this. LSU had a visit from defensive lineman out of South Florida, Bernard Gooden, the other day. And he's going to be at LSU. He's at LSU right now, but he's going to be there clear until Saturday, where he leaves. Right now, from what I'm told by multiple sources who are literally involved in Bernard's recruitment, they're saying this has not only gone well, but they really do believe, like, unless some crazy challenger comes in that they're unaware of at this point, things are looking on for LSU. Things are looking really good as far as Bernard Gooden being a potential candidate for, come LSU. And LSU are really going hard at the defensive line. That's not a hidden thing. That's not something that's, buried or hide that fact. Of course, they're going after multiple defensive linemen right now. There's a couple of names that we can't even get the name of because they're like, nope. This can't get screwed up. Nope, this can't get leaked. Nope. And that's very interesting to me. They are LSU right now. I've been asked a bunch about the safeties from Houston, Halsey, and now Maurice Williams. Here's what I can tell you. LSU are not going to show their cards here to anybody. LSU are not just going to go out there and just go, hey, we want all in on Halsey. Oh, we want all in on Maurice Williams. You know why? Last thing they want is for Deshaun Spears, Toviano, one of those guys to leave. They actually believe in their safety room that much that they're like, we cannot risk these guys leaving. A Jordan Gilbert even leaving. A veteran like Jordan Gilbert, which, okay. But Maurice Williams, Halsey, these guys are worth getting. These guys are worth signing to LSU. They may be better than anybody we have on the team right now outside of Tamarcus Cooley. Halsey and Maurice Williams, the two Houston safeties that LSU are monitoring, but not quite jumping into and pursuing quite yet. They're interested, but they would rather not lose. Brian Kelly said something publicly that I think people actually need to take heed to. He said, this portal is going to be more about us retaining players and not losing guys. We have multiple guys that think that they have a better option elsewhere, and we're like, no, you're not going anywhere. We basically are making sure that money is allocated to keep people at LSU. There's a reason Caleb Jackson did not transfer this last time. Everyone expected him, including myself, to transfer. There's one reason why he did not. And that type of reasoning, that type of strategy from LSU is the reason someone like Austin Thomas is getting a $400,000 raise. Because the moves he's using, the things he's doing are keeping more guys at LSU than ever before. And that's what it's all about. That's why you use the NIL. Keep them at LSU. Retain the players. It's really not that hard. Pay the kids. They're interested. They want to come to LSU. They know they can be developed for the next level, the best at LSU. Pay them. So LSU stand in a very good way with Bernard Gooden, the USF defensive lineman, and I feel like LSU, they're the favorite right now. LSU are the front runner right now. That can change at any moment. This stuff is so fluid, as you know. This stuff is more fluid than Dylan Mulvaney's gender. But, it's LSU have really made a big show of a commitment. Like, we want you, and we don't want anyone else to have you. We're going to want you to visit this long, and here's this plan that we've got. Coming to LSU, it's very impressive. And LSU needed the help defensive line-wise. They need it. They need a few more guys. But they really do need a safety or two as well. I think they need safeties more than they need defensive linemen, actually. They know their team more than I know their teams, though. And they're prioritizing defensive line over safety. But I feel like maybe just add some more of both, And that's what we're looking at right now for LSU. It's in the monitoring situation with Halsey and Maurice Williams. out of Houston. They're interested. They want these guys, but they don't want to scare off their own guys. They don't want, oh, you just added another safety into the, okay, Deshaun Spears, boom, he's gone. Joel Rogers, he's gone. You know, that would happen. And so there might be a chance to wait until a certain window closes, and a certain window might still be open. You know what I'm saying? LSU might be waiting to make sure the LSU guys can't leave and then bring in the guys. So it's a very interesting situation. LSU need to add players to this team. They need to add talent to this team at safety, at defensive line specifically, and maybe even offensive line. Probably offensive line. But I'm very excited on where things are headed right now for a lot of different things. I really cannot wait to see where Jack Besh goes tonight. That kid deserves this so much. He fought through so much. He's had to deal with so much. The strength he's shown since his brother passed, the way he has held his family together. I mean, they didn't need help staying together or something, but the way he just is the glue of that family, the strength of that family, I'm just so damn proud of that kid, of that man. Really, Jack Besh is the definition of a man. You know, that's what people love about this guy. He is a man. If you haven't watched his recent appearance on the Pivot podcast, you've just absolutely got to. You've got to. We were really wanting Jack to come on the show, our show, and he agreed, but his family did not want him to do an interview with like anyone that was a known LSU media person. And it was really kind of like, whoa, you know, but I respected that decision, but you know, they wanted to kind of leave the LSU stuff in the past is what I was told. And which I understand. We were going to touch on his LSU stuff, but not, you know, go deep into it, you know, but hopefully maybe one day we can have him come on the show again. We've interviewed Jack like probably like 20 different times in articles, in podcasts. So it's been fantastic getting to know him and his family and seeing this journey through the ups and the downs. And he's always been the same old Jack, and absolutely love that kid. Want nothing. Once again, he's not a kid. This dude is a man. This dude is the personification of a man, definition of a man. If Sage grew up to be even half the dude Jack Besh is, man, I know my job is done, and Sage will turn out fine. Seriously. Everybody, thank you for watching. Absolutely love you guys. Go Tigers. We're really having some anxiety stuff going on. I don't know why. We never have any anxiety stuff, but we have a bunch of great guests coming who really want, like, said they want to do the show. I need to kind of just prod these people and kind of bug them and kind of remind them because they're usually so busy with other stuff. And so I'm going to do that and get some great guests back on this show like we always have before and like we always will again. And you guys deserve to every time you come to this podcast, every time you come and see, oh, Lon's got some post up, I want you to look at that thumbnail and think, what the hell? He's going to have that person on the podcast. He's going to have that guest. Oh, this is going to be nuts. I can't wait to dig into this. That's the type of feeling I want you guys to have. I want you to be able to open one of our articles and know, like, ooh, I'm going to sit back with a big bag of gummy bears and a few beers and a giant pizza or whatever. Some fettuccine Alfredo, some pasta, and just eat a ton and read our articles and stuff. You know, like that's the type of stuff I want to engender for my audience, is just give you guys the goods. You know, You guys want this? Oh, here it is, baby, coming right up. And I want to give it to you in ways that you don't expect or don't see coming. And that's part of the fun of this job. And I absolutely have a lot of fun doing it. And I'm never going to apologize to anybody for the fun that we had doing this type of stuff. Anyway, everybody will be on the flip side. There is a big article on the site right now. We'll open up the site. Our final spring takeaways. Okay. Good problems, a few big questions, and solid options for Brian Kelly's fourth-year Tigers. With that beautiful, lovely edit by our friend Double O. Look at that shit. Oh, love it. All the pillars of the 2025 team, kind of like, he's made these edits for me for now the third year running. And I really like the aesthetic that he has. He always does great work for us. But if you want to read what we feel about every single facet of this team right now, this is where you can find it. Really, we put this out just the other day on a Thursday morning. Wednesday morning. Thursday morning. Final spring 2025 takeaways. So we literally talk about Nussmeier and where his head's at and what he's going to have to do this season. A third Heisman quarterback, another 21st century offensive juggernaut at LSU. So it's all about the offense, all about Nussmeier, all about, and we kind of make sure it's organized. An unpredictable offensive line. You go in here and you read about all the offensive line questions, all this stuff, and then goes into all the stuff about the receiving core. All the weapons Nussmeier has. And then here we go. There's Baker and the still improving or another disappointing Tigers defense. There's Mr. DJ Pickett. Go really into the safety position. Offensive line. Our worries with that offensive line position. I mean, we go on and on about the offensive line on this thing for a ton as well. Talk about the Lance Guidry hire. In conclusion. And yes, it is a 10-minute read, but it actually, I think it reads pretty quickly. We try and write these things so that they read quickly for you. So try it out. If you've never gone to the site, if you've never read our stuff, try it out. Tell me what you think. Comment right there like Luis Corona always does and tell us what you think. Lewis says, great depth and insight. I think there are so many quality pieces here. If we get the O-line to gel, look out. I love Lewis. Yes, there are. And that's the thing. LSU and their coaching staff must figure out their personnel. That's the thing, is the combinations of personnel, who they put out there. You have one wrong linebacker in the group. You have one wrong safety in that tandem. You have one wrong corner on the outside. You can completely destabilize the entire defense, especially a defense that has a guy in a free role like Harold Perkins, a star position guy. You can really destabilize the defense with just one mismatch, just quick. So LSU have to get this right in all areas of the defense. And that's why I think you got to go with Mansour Delane, DJ Pickett, and Ashton Stamps kind of swapping and sharing snaps. And I think you got to go with Tamarcus Cooley, Toviano at the back at safety. And then I think you got to go with Whit Weeks, Davon Keys, and then a star, Harold Perkins. The front four, you got to have Patrick Payton on one side. You got to have Gabe Relaford on the other. Jacobian Guillory, Ahmad Bro. That's your front four. That's the starting defense, in my opinion, right now. Everybody, I want to leave you with this message. Enter to win Will Campbell's Draft Night Watch at Kettle Shop/Lawn. Right here's the video of the watch. Will Campbell enjoying it, meeting the Kettle guys, signing the memorabilia as well. Another opportunity knocked out of the park by the Kettle guys who worked with Cooper DeJean, Tyler Warren, another first-round pick. So, you know, this is a rising company who are doing great stuff. This isn't some big, giant conglomerate, you know, some evil, awful, annoying corporation. You know, it's got the tentacles and everything. This is a badass company that are starting from a really strong place. And if Will Campbell is liking him and he's got their approval, that's good enough for me. So enter to win Will Campbell's Draft Night Watch or other significant memorabilia at Kettle Shop/Lawn, at Kettle Shop/Lawn. Here's the video. Thank you, everybody. Everybody have a good rest of your night.